Monkey.
I think it would
Monkey.
I think it would be very funny to
You
someday.
have shown me monkey. Monkey.
Monkey.
Monkey. Did you guys watch those
I did.
videos that I posted?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I did. Were they in the chat?
Yeah. Well,
We're in the chat.
in the podcast chat.
Oh, in the podcast chat. I check that even more rarely because I'm never on
Well,
there
it's
because
like
I don't have to be.
once a week.
Right.
Because James will read it and tell me what it said.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Typically how it goes.
Or if there's a video worth watching, he'll say, "Hey, did you see that?" And I'm like, "No, I was in class and I just looked and saw that you were complaining."
Imagine the episodes that we've been watching recently of Attack on Titan and how you'd expect it to go with the monkey meme from Kung Fu Panda cartoon.
I see. That would make sense.
It's still pretty good though.
Oh, of course.
That was a good spoiler evasion.
Mm-hmm. Although I think at the time we had only just watched those few episodes, so I understood what the clips were from. But we are part way.
You've made it a chunk into season 4, I saw.
Yep.
Yes.
Was it last night? No, 2 nights ago. No, it was yesterday. We watched it.
Yeah, it was last night.
So
You're in the oh crap episodes right now.
yeah, it's like whoa, okay, this took a turn.
I did not see this going this direction at all.
Neither did I.
And this changes everything.
And I had the big
Again.
sad.
Mm-hmm.
You had a big
I had a big sad. We'll talk about that when we talk about the show.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I think they're putting that big sad to good use for the sake of the characters and the setting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually doing a really good job
yeah.
with it. Anyway.
I mean, if it wouldn't be Attack on Titan if a major character didn't die.
At some point, right.
Yeah.
Although they went a couple seasons where I'm like, are you sure you're not dead? You just got blown up. Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Nobody has come back besides Eren since the beginning that I
remember. Spoilers!
Well, it's like season 1.
Episode 3, but yeah, I know. Shut up.
Yeah, if you don't know that by now, it's like you don't care
The show
enough to
it came out like first 6 years ago, just about.
I believe the first
2015?
iteration, first season of the show came out 2014.
Oh, okay, so almost
So
8
it's
years
been out
ago.
nearly 8 years. So if you haven't gotten around to it by now,
So they average a season every 2 years.
I don't care. Yeah, they do.
But now is a good time to get into it because
it's all there.
Yeah.
Almost. It will be by the time you get to that point.
Right.
Mm.
If you're just starting it now.
Yup. So
What
good
else?
things are happening there. What else has gone on?
What else? I mean, we went home for a weekend
We
for
did.
different reasons.
Mm-hmm. Well, similar reasons.
Well, both to see our family, and of course, we also got to visit our mutual niece. And
Yep.
that was fun.
We had all of the nieces and nephews in my family together on Saturday, so that was a lot of fun.
For like the first time, if I understand.
Yeah, I
this.
don't think Zaylee. I don't think the nephews had met her before, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And also Lou hadn't met Zaylee yet either, so that was pretty fun. She's a little over 6 months old now, so she kind of knows what's going on a little bit. So she thought that the baby was pretty cool, so that was fun. The other baby, I should say. So yeah, it was pretty fun, and a couple. Well, Ryan wasn't able to make it because he's still recovering from foot surgery. So, but yeah, the vast majority of the family was together, and so the occasion was to a birthday party for my mom. So, good times. It was a fun weekend. Not fun driving to or from Detroit Lakes.
Yeah, there was some bad visibility with the snow and the blowing around.
Well, on Saturday when I drove out, it had ice rained on like Thursday night, which turned into very cold and wind. So it was just ice everywhere, nasty ice.
That was also the Super Bowl Sunday you drove back.
Yep.
We both drove back because I had school tomorrow, the next day.
Yeah.
The superb owl.
It was a game.
It was quite a game.
It was rather entertaining to watch. I was like a little sad that the Bengals lost. They were kind of the underdog team of sorts, but for once it was a game where I was like, I don't really mind if either of these teams win.
Mm-hmm.
I have no investment.
Both of them deserve it.
Yeah.
And I am just more than glad that Matthew Stafford finally got a Super Bowl.
Yes.
The instant he leaves Detroit.
Yep.
He goes and wins the Super Bowl.
That season.
And ends Tom Brady's career.
Yeah. Some people are like, oh no, he might come back. It's like, dude, just be done. Nobody is going to surpass what he's done.
You have to go out on top.
Yeah. If you had that kind of money and that kind of success and could retire whenever you wanted to, why wouldn't you just retire? Especially because you still have kids that are, youngish, and so you'd be able to spend time with them. Like most people would kill for that sort of opportunity. So, dude, just be done. For sure. It was funny because it was like sources say Tom Brady's going to retire, and he's like, oh, wait a second, I didn't say that yet. And then a week later, he actually retires. It's like, okay, why didn't you just, when everybody was like, saying happy retirement, why didn't you just roll with it? But whatever, it is what it is.
You don't tell me when I retire. I tell me when I retire. And I'm retiring now. Not because you said so.
But
because
I want to. Because I'm Tom freaking Brady. A lot of sports icon people are retiring. I believe Shaun White, the Olympic snowboarder, this is his last Olympics.
Professional downhill goer?
Yeah. Trickster, in fact. Professional redheaded trickster. Of course, retirement.
Isn't that all of the redheadeds?
What's that?
Isn't that all of the redheadeds?
Yes, and his retirement will mean nothing because gingers have no souls. There is no reward for him in rest.
He started at the top, but it was all downhill from there.
Yep. Yeah, no.
He went square and got rid of his flowing mane.
Yeah, that was maybe he was starting to get some gray in there. That might have been part of it.
Yeah, you gotta keep the snowboarder dude hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's just iconic.
Just wear helmets.
Let's see who else is retired. I don't follow baseball outside of the Twins too closely, but I saw there was a few players that retired.
Do you like baseball?
Hey kid, I'm a computer.
We should do our April Fool's Day episode on the G.I. Joe PSA dub.
It's not an April Fool's episode if we go announcing what we're going to do for April Fools.
Well, here's the thing. We just continue announcing random things for April Fools, and then when we get there, nobody's going to know what to expect, and we'll probably forget to do an April Fool's episode anyway.
Like we did last year.
Yeah.
Despite joking
we were
about it
about
several
doing
times.
But that was the joke. No episode came.
Keep them on their toes.
Yeah.
But they were all of them deceived.
What did you guys...
Another episode was made.
What did you guys make of the Rings of Power trailer?
I didn't see
Haven't watched it.
one yet.
Wanted to not get mad.
See, there's nothing to really be mad about per se. It's just... the feeling I got, I'm sure the production value and everything is people put their heart and souls into it, whatever. It's a big budget production. I'm just like, what's with this Kirkland brand Lord of the Rings I'm looking at here? That's just the vibe I got.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon is what that is about.
Your prime delivery Lord of the Rings universe. It makes sense that they recast characters because of the age of the actors.
Because they're old.
Yeah. And people made... I don't know if there was an actual controversy or people trying to make a controversy about, people of different ethnicities and so forth playing elves and dwarves or whatever. It's like, I don't really care about that. What I care about is them inventing characters, which
they've already proven
plenty
that they can do in Hobbit trilogy.
Yeah, which I'm suspicious about because there's already plenty of characters whose stories you could tell. Why are you making up more? That's my beef about it. But again, I'm going to try and watch the show, I think, with an open mind, but not expect to be impressed.
I haven't seen the trailer yet. I saw that it existed and didn't watch it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I did, however, see new Doctor Strange trailer and heard Charles Xavier's voice.
Oh, I was gonna say Sir
man.
Topham Hatt, but that'd be the Wild
Patrick
Multiverse.
Stewart.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
Ah, yes.
I heard his voice. I'm like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but okay.
There's only one person that can be.
Yep.
It's not like they would tease an actor and then recast him as somebody
It's the multiverse of
different.
madness.
Psych, it's
This
Star
is the
Trek.
time.
Nobody
this is
saw
the
that
time
coming.
to rope in X-Men characters.
This is like the way they can without not making sense.
At this point.
See, I personally think the MCU is past the point where X-Men would be helpful or useful.
Yeah.
But I think it would be funny if, so you know how in the 90s, Rogue of the X-Men was like ridiculously strong and could fly around? Because she wasn't later and she wasn't before, but like during the 90s that was her thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was she was working with like Mystique or whatever in her gang, and she absorbed the powers of Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, you know what? I think it would be kind of funny to see the character they're trying to hype up and overpower get knocked down a peg, and maybe that might turn her into an interesting character a little bit.
Besides fighting with Thanos and suddenly being weak for no reason. Anyway, we're not going to get back into...
No.
I really
not
hope
today.
we get a Sir Ian McKellen to show up
as Magneto.
as Magneto.
Although
And Gandalf the Grey in the same movie.
Yes, because why not?
Well, it's a multiverse. I
Wait,
mean,
how do you
we
know
have
about
lots of-
Gandalf? I met him.
Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised they didn't go with the younger actors from the First Class and Days of Future Past movies, but at the same time, they don't command the same amount of respect and nostalgia as the original actors do.
Because
So,
they were from the early beginning.
they were
of the
okay
X-Men.
for the movies they were written in, and it was just they're kind of mediocre movies.
X-Men is kind of a classic case of the actors being way better than the script they were given.
Exactly. The only time like the actor matched the script was the two Wolverine movies that exist.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Origins movie. What are you talking
There
about?
are only two, no more.
They didn't
no
completely
less.
ruin both Wolverine and Daredevil. Or
Well,
not
Daredevil. The bat.
Daredevil had already Batfleck had already ruined that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about Deadpool. He had a different D name and also wore all red.
Yep. So, there's that.
So there's that.
Speaking of D names and wearing all red,
We're the Palladium Papists. I'm James.
I'm Nathan.
and I'm Riley.
That
That has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about.
no, none whatsoever.
There is a D name. There is a reddish character,
Yeah,
more like yellowish,
orange.
Anyway,
We're talking.
But the
It's a
D-
philosophical today.
In a world where one man will decide whether to pull a lever and kill one man, or not pull a lever and allow 5 people to die, find out in Philosophical.
So we're talking about Finding Nemo.
ready to go.
So I will need assistance and not just constantly quoting the movie, but then again,
I will bonk
So
you.
if we quote the movie all the way through,
we'll just
have a
verbatim
2-hour-long
recite the
synopsis,
movie.
but it'll
it'll be fun.
We'll
for
just
us.
it will be a complete treatment of the plot material.
I
That's
don't
true.
see any sticks in here to bonk you. There's a sword in the wall. There's
Oh,
also
okay.
a saw behind me.
Those
So
are
if you get too off track,
rather extreme.
watch yourself.
We can always edit it down.
That's true. At any rate, so yeah, Finding Nemo. I believe it came out in 2000. I was 6. So would that be 2004?
Just keep going. I'll look it up.
Anyhow, so we open the movie. It's the coral reef somewhere in the
Like the
Pacific
Great
Ocean.
Barrier Reef.
Somewhere in that, yeah. Somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, and you have a clownfish couple who have just
2003.
okay. That makes I was 6. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, math checks out.
Yeah, it checks out. So they've somehow fish bought their first fish home in an anemone with a brilliant view of the great big wide ocean, and not far away from a cool neighborhood with all the sorts of fish. So you have marlin and coral. Marlin, they're talking about how happy they are about their house and plans for the future, and
And all their eggs,
everything,
because clownfish have several eggs at a time.
Yeah, well, in this case, they have like 400 something eggs, so there's a lot. They're trying to figure out what to name their kids. I'm gonna name this half Marlin Jr. and this half Coral Jr. Okay, we're done. And then his Coral's like, I like Nemo. He's like, Nemo. Okay, we'll name one Nemo, but I want the rest to be Marlin Jr. So while they're thinking about the future, that is suddenly snapped away from them in the jaws of a barracuda who emerges from the deep ocean, and Coral fails to return to the safety of the anemone, which they have stinging nettles on, or they have stingers on them akin to a jellyfish, and but the clownfish are immune to that because of the coating on their scales and whatnot. But anyway, so Coral, instead of retreating to the anemone, decides to try to protect the eggs, which is impossible. So the barracuda knocks out Marlin, and he goes out cold and wakes up who knows how long later. And he looks, there's no Coral, and there's only one scratched up egg that's still around. So he's lost basically almost his whole family. So he's like, all right, I promise I'll never let anything happen to you. I'm going to name you Nemo. Something along those lines. So years later,
or however long it takes.
Several fish years later, there's Nemo is ready for his first day of school, and he's rushing Marlin out of bed. So Nemo, because of the barracuda attack and slight damage to his egg, he's fairly normal young fish, but he has one gimpy, smaller fin that makes it difficult for him to swim on his own. So anyway, he's all excited for his first day of school, and his dad is very reluctantly allowing him out into the world. Because, having lost all his family, they've moved to a different part of the reef where they're surrounded by other anemones, and no wide open ocean in sight. So he's reluctantly bringing Nemo to fish school. All the time, stopping him for fish traffic and warning him about different dangerous things. And Nemo, of course, is just up and at him, wanting to get out and experience the world.
Pure unbridled kid energy.
Yep. And he's feeling a little bridled by Marlin, but so they get to fish school. Marlin meets the other fish dads and start to talk, and make him try to tell a joke because he's a clownfish, get it, and he's not very good at it. So Nemo goes off.
The first day of school is a field trip to the drop off into the open ocean,
which Marlin wasn't aware of. And we find out that he had actually held Nemo back in school for a while because he was so reluctant to let him, go out and explore and be exposed to potential danger. So Marlin is irate that they have decided to go to the drop off. So he chases after the school, taught by Mr. Ray. And when they get there, Mr. Ray is giving lessons. Everything's cool. And Nemo's like, ooh, what's this drop-off thing? With a couple of the other fish friends he's made. And they see this strange thing floating near the surface of the open water, which they believe to be called a butt. So that joke plays out.
Yes.
Marlin discovers them swimming on the edge of the drop-off, and thinks that they're already planning on going out there. So he harshly comes down on Nemo and is like, you were about to go into the open water. Like, how could you do this? We're going home right now. And Nemo, his resentment about being, having his dad be a helicopter parent, finally boils over, and they have an argument. And so while Marlin's distracted with the teacher asking what's going on, Nemo decides to defy his dad and go touch the boat. Upon trying to swim back to the boat, a diver emerges and swipes Nemo in a little net and swims off. And another diver takes a picture of Marlin, blinding him, so he's unable to rescue Nemo. Not like he would have really been able to do anything about it. So Nemo is gone, and Marlin tries to chase after the boat, but quickly loses it because it goes pretty fast. So while wandering around searching for Nemo, he encounters this blue tang fish named Dory. who starts tagging along with him. And she's like, oh, yeah, no, I totally know where the boat went. But Marlin quickly discovers that she's very forgetful. She has short-term memory loss. So, this you can already tell it's going to be fun. But before he can swim off and try to continue the search on his own, they meet a great white shark. And I'm Bruce. So he's like, why don't you
Your
guys...
name not Bruce?
Yep. He's like, why don't you come to a little get-together I'm having? You mean like a party? Yeah, right, a party.
And so turns out this get-together is basically Alcoholics Anonymous for sharks trying to
and they're like an old sunken submarine from World War II surrounded by mines or whatever. So a very dangerous place, very beyond Marlin's comfort zone. But yeah, these are sharks who have sworn off eating fish, and they're having a meeting to, like
it's
a support group. Yeah. So they, by chance, discover a diving mask, which Marlin recognizes from the diver. It's somehow been knocked overboard by accident on the boat. So he's like, wait a minute, there's some sort of weird markings on the back. I wonder if somebody can read this. So Dory's like, oh, maybe the sharks can help. And he's like, no, don't trust the sharks. So they fight over it. Dory gets a fish equivalent of a bloody nose. And sharks, they seem to have some good self-control, but pure shark instinct kicks in when they catch a whiff of the blood. So
there's
Bruce goes crazy.
They
have a whole chase sequence. And
during which they discover that Dory can in fact read somehow for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. So they manage to escape from the sharks after they accidentally detonate all of these sea mines sitting around the submarine.
They lose the mask in the process, but Marlin was like, so wait, what was written on the mask? He's like, oh, it's P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney. I remembered something.
So she keeps repeating it to herself over and over again so she doesn't forget. So they start making their way out further into the oceans, trying to find somebody who can help them figure out where this place is. Meanwhile, Nemo has been taken back to the diver's place, which is a dentist's office. The diver was a dentist, and he has a fish tank in his office. So he deposits Nemo with a bunch of other fish. You have, I don't really know the names of some of these fishes, but you have Gil, who's sort of the ringleader. You have Peach, the starfish.
Who just watches the outside world clinging to the side of the tank.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple other characters.
Yeah, they're all hanging out in this fish tank, and they've been trying to escape forever.
Because Gil's the only one who's actually seen the ocean. The other ones are bred in captivity and then sold on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But Gil was the only other reef catch that the dentist had. So he's like, I gotta get me a taste of the ocean again.
He's got scars on him from the various escape attempts he has made in the past. So he and Nemo, because they both came from the ocean, start to form a bond and
also have a bad fin. He's like, it's never stopped me.
Mm-hmm. So they start hatching a plan to try to escape from the fish tank yet again, because Nemo is small, and in order to clog up the purification system in the tank to make the dentist clean it and take them out so they can make a harebrained escape, they need Nemo because he's small. So he gets into the thing, clogs it up, but the plan goes wrong, and he almost gets sucked into the mechanism and killed. And so the other fish manage to rescue him, but it sort of traumatizes everyone, and Gil realizes, oh, wait, I've been manipulating and using you, and I'm sorry. So
yeah, I have no right to ask this of you.
Yeah.
Been through enough.
So they're still trying to figure out how to escape. So Marlin and Dory, by the help of a school of fish and some sea turtles, let's back up a bit. So they managed to figure out where P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney is. They have to go to the
East Australia Current will take them right past there. They get directions to go
Yep.
Through this great big trench in the ocean,
which looks scary.
But don't go over it. He tells
the
Dory.
fish tells him, yeah.
Yeah, the school of fish to have one collective voice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and this is after a point where Marlin was like, I don't know, you're kind of dragging me down, Dory. Maybe you should leave. And she's pretty upset by that because she's come to like Marlin, and he's the only fish that's really stuck with her because she, is forgetful and kind of derpy. But they managed to move past that argument, and
Dory catches up to Marlin and is like, hey, see this trench? Oh, wow. That's a big, scary trench. Let's go through it. And he's like, no, I'm not going through that
I don't
thing.
do scary things.
She's like, no. Something's telling me we should go through this. You should trust me. And he's like, no, come on.
No. So they go over it, and they quickly find out the reason they were not supposed to go over it was because there is a giant pod of jellyfish that they... But Dory manages to come up with a idea to get through the jellyfish without getting stung, and that's to bounce on the tops of the jellyfish because that's not where the stingers are. But things go awry. They both get stung up and get knocked unconscious because of the venom from the stings. And they're picked up by these friendly sea turtles, the surfer sea turtles who ride the East Australian current. So they're like, oh yeah, we know how to get you to Sydney, and teach Marlin a few lessons about being a little more
trusting
and carefree. And Marlin sees how his distrust has literally caused scarred Dory from the jellyfish. So the story of Marlin looking for Nemo, because he tells it to these little baby sea turtles or whatever. The story quickly spreads across the ocean, which eventually reaches these pelicans who like to sit and talk in the window to the to the fish in the fish tank. So Nemo hears that his dad and another fish are out there looking for him. So he's like,
well, now I got to get back in the ocean. Now we got to resume Gil's plan.
Yep. So
this time it works.
Yeah, this time it works. And so the fish gets dirty. The fish tank gets dirty. And so they're working on the escape plan. One thing that is sort of making the escape a bit more urgent is that the dentist has a niece named Darla who he likes to give fish as gifts. However, since she's a little girl and has no idea how to take care of a fish, keeps accidentally killing them. So they're like, okay, we got to get you out of here because you're definitely going to be her gift this year. So, they work on the escape plan, but instead of cleaning the tank by hand, the dentist gets a fancy dancy new electric airtight filter system, so they can't get out. So on the day they arrive, by chance, on the day that Darla arrives, by chance, Nigel the pelican manages to run into Dory and Marlin, who get chomped. They get sucked up by a whale.
Yeah, they got transported here by a whale.
That Dory managed to connect to.
There was a minute where Marlin learned to trust Dory a little more,
Mm-hmm. So they make it to Sydney, and Nigel picks them up. He's like, oh, I'm going to bring you to the dentist's office. And so this is right when he's about to give Nemo to Darla, and Nemo's like, wait a minute, all drains lead to the ocean. If I get flushed down the toilet, that means I get to get out to the ocean and escape.
So if I pretend to be dead in the bag, the dentist won't know what else to do with me.
Mm-hmm. And Marlin, is in the mouth of the pelican and is like, thinks Nemo is actually dead. So it's like, oh crap. With the help of Gil and the other fish, Nemo does in fact manage to escape through the toilet. But Marlin's like, well, guess we're done. Nemo's dead. I have no reason to do anything anymore. Get out of here, Dory. And Dory, after being, sent away by Marlin, manages to meet Nemo, who's made it into the harbor.
But at this point, she's kind of out of it too emotionally and has forgotten everything because she's just kind of regressed in her memory problem.
But she manages to remember who Nemo is, and they're like, oh crap, we have to chase after your dad. So they chase after Marlin and find him, but a fishing trawler accidentally picks up Dory and a bunch of the other fish, and so Nemo's like, we got to help her. And he's like, Daddy, you got to trust me, I have an idea.
Because there was a thing they did earlier in the movie when the dentist was trying to get Nemo out of the tank with a net.
Yep.
Every other fish jumped in the net and swam straight down to the bottom to rip the net out of his hands. So Nemo and Marlin tell the other fish about their plan, and so they manage to break the net free from the fishing vessel. But and Marlin, chooses to go along with Nemo because he's learned he can trust now. So Nemo gets beat up a little bit, but he's okay. So they go back to the reef.
Marlin and Dory and Nemo are all friends. He's finally going off to school as normal, and Marlin's learned to be a more
more trusting and more confident in himself and other people.
Yep. And then Nemo has also learned to appreciate and love his dad. So that's
because he realizes this whole time he was only trying to protect him, and in fact he went the whole ocean just to protect him.
Yep. Because at first Nemo didn't believe it. He's like, my dad going in the ocean, he hates the ocean. There's no way.
Meeting sharks, he fought 3 sharks. What are you talking about?
Yep. That's like 4,800 teeth. So yeah, and that's the end of the movie. Oh, yeah. Happily ever after. The second one never happened. What are you talking about?
It was merely okay.
Yep. So let's see. This is a movie we all grew up with. So what are some of the things we like about Finding Nemo?
Who starts?
Well, a lot of quotable lines in this film.
Yes.
Partially.
That there are.
Just from watching it so many times growing up. But it's very, like, the dialogue and the characters are all very colorful and
honestly,
a lot of good bits.
The dialogue is so fun and snappy that I didn't even get all of it until I was an adult. Not for dirty reasons, but it's just like the complexity. Oh, that's more
of the
complex than I gave it credit for. That's actually hilarious.
Yep.
Or like I didn't fully understand the whole Bruce and his gang's
Alcoholics Anonymous
group.
Yeah, for
until
the
I was
fish
like,
habit.
oh, that's what this is. That's funny. Who thinks of this stuff?
Yep.
The wonderful people at DreamWorks or Pixar?
No, Pixar.
I can't remember who
Pixar.
did that. Yeah, Pixar.
DreamWorks was the weird Will Smith shark thing, I think.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, Shark Tale.
Yeah.
I also think it's like interesting how very grounded in real marine biology the movie is.
Yeah.
Like the turtles pick them up from the jellyfish because turtles will eat jellyfish to get high.
Yep.
And the turtles are kind of like surfer bros,
bunch of stoner surfers. Yeah. You so totally rock, Squirt.
And like how the loosen up and trust your child like advice that Marlin gets comes from
Crush.
A sea turtle. These people bury their eggs on the sand and just trust that their babies are going to pop out and get to the ocean in time.
It's like, let's see, you lay your eggs, hatch.
Little dudes just find themselves back
in the big old blue, all by themselves. When you know they'll be ready? Well, you never know, but when you know, they'll know. When you know, they'll know, you know?
What are you talking about?
Yeah. They kind of teach.
The characters are all fun, too. We spend, like, there's a lot of, like, small set pieces with these different sets of characters, but all the characters are just these fun little episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And even the fish tank characters, like, every one of them has their own little, like, personality quirk. Like, there's the one who believes that her reflection is another fish.
Oh, that's right.
It's like, all the fish have, like, this... it's like
little mannerism, something that's kind of that captivity hasn't been kind to them.
It's like
apparently
fish aren't meant to be in a box, kid. It does stuff to you.
Yeah.
And then there was the one guy who just freaks out when the bubbles show up.
And then you have Bloat, I think, is the pufferfish.
Yep.
Who's he's a pufferfish, so the tank isn't really appropriate for him.
And then like the little cleaner shrimp who's just constantly
Jacques.
There's the germaphobe who's like, he's been in the ocean, he hasn't been decontaminated.
Yeah. Yeah, you have the germaphobe and
just
all kinds of fun characters.
I think it's funny because all they have to do is stare out into a dentist office.
Yep.
And so they treat dental work as a spectator sport. It's like, ooh, it's a root canal. That's not going to be pretty.
He's using the shoulder technique.
And they're just debating on what tool he should be using and making light commentary on this not that great
and they're
dentist.
friends with a pelican who comes and sits in the window, and the dentist is convinced is trying to eat his fish.
Similarly makes commentary on all of the dentist's technique.
Yeah,
funny.
So it's interesting too because I believe Gil is an angelfish or something like that, and I read zebrafish, something like that. But I read that they like that particular species of fish is actually like does not do well in captivity at all.
Sure.
So it's like an appropriate choice for Gil being the one.
So tying that desire to escape into his character really worked.
And Dory is like a blue tang, who are sort of flitty, ditzy kind of fish who aren't don't have a very good memory.
Whereas clownfish are like known for hiding in an enemy to protect them. So it's like the characters are designed or are written in a way that's consistent with their mannerisms as actual fish. It's pretty fun.
Because I think because we were the nerds that watched the special features.
Dude, those bonus features were cool.
They did. They like had a bunch of people from the animation team
looking
go
at
out and
how much work that went into the lighting in this movie or the particle effects to make it look like it's light shimmering through the surface of a water, or getting the weird reflections at the corner of the fish tank, right, where you would see like double for a little bit.
Well, they went. I believe as part of the research, they went out and did some dives on an actual coral reef to observe fish and different things like that. So they did a lot of research, and it really paid off. This is
like we say every time with Pixar movies. Every movie is like them trying to test and develop a new skill, and then they totally flex it on us.
Yeah.
And this one, it was very much the lighting, even the way it interacts with the.
We're kind of getting into beauty
skills
already.
Well, no, but this is cool.
It's
stuff.
a cool thing.
It's
Yeah,
cool
that's true.
stuff. This is
That's
we're
true.
talking about the technology part of it.
That's true. Yeah, and like the way they managed to make fish like as like believable cartoon characters, but also behave like in animation as fish do.
Right? How do you make?
That is how the fish do.
It's like how do you animate realistic feeling swimming that also exudes some kind of character?
Mm-hmm.
Which it very
They
much
pulled it off.
does.
It does.
And now everybody knows what an anglerfish is. Because
Dude, that was a
of-
great scene.
Oh, yeah.
Anglerfish.
just keep swimming.
It's
Just
dark
keep
down here. It's
swimming.
like,
Just
who
keep
touched me?
swimming.
It's like me. Are you my conscience?
Yeah. I'm your conscience. We haven't talked in a while.
I see a light. Hey, conscience, am I dead?
No, I see it too. Yeah, just lots of great bits and character dialogue and stuff. The part where there's that school of fish who comes up on Dory and Marlin arguing, and they're like, "Is this guy bothering you?" And so they try to cheer her up. They're doing all these different like choreographed like shapes and different things, and making fun of Marlin. It's a pretty good sequence. Dory knows how to speak whale, so she talks to a whale, and
Which she successfully communicates to the whale that they want to go to Sydney, right? And it's because of her they make it to Sydney. It's just Marlin was untrustworthy.
and she knows that it's like oh come on, whales don't eat clownfish, they eat krill. Oh look, krill. But her confidence and her intuition prove right. The whale doesn't eat them because whales don't eat fish. At least that kind of whale.
Even though Marlin was like, "We're in the belly of the beast. It's hopeless now. I'm not gonna." It's really great. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
At the end, Marlin does a whale call to say thank you, and
Wow.
Joyce-
I wish I could speak whale. You so totally rock, Squirt.
also similar to the species dictating character, the seagulls.
Oh
are
yeah.
so funny.
Yep.
Mine?
Mine.
Mine.
Oh,
Because it's like they only have one mode, right? And it's like, I'm looking for food. Hey, I see something.
that's mine.
It's mine.
Yep.
Nobody else.
Pretty
and
genius.
You watch seagulls in the wild, and that's how they behave with their food, and that's how they react.
Yep.
And so the word "mine" sounds enough like a seagull call when you say it like that. Mm-hmm. It's so fun.
I like
So
how
creative.
like these different like sort of throwaway gags and stuff are like they're like kind of in the background, but not in a way where they sort of take over. Because you have the seagulls and then you have the crabs who are like just playing with bubbles, and then every time somebody else walks up to them, they're like, "Hey,
This is our sport."
Also, the pelicans. There's because one pelican mistakenly tries to eat Dory and Marlin, but they were like, "I'm not about to become breakfast," and so they get lodged in his throat. And so there's all these other pelicans who are sitting on a sailboat watching. And it's like, looks like this guy had more than he can handle. I should probably go help the guy. And they're all just like, yeah. All right, don't everyone go flying off at once. So yeah, a lot of great bits. A lot of just
Because this movie is very much an adventure.
Yes.
It's like you've got a beginning, and then you've got a call to action, and then just a lot of little set pieces on their way.
it's a hero's journey.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You had Marlin in his place of comfort, which he's very dependent on comfort and staying safe.
After the initial incident scars him in that way.
Yep. And he's forced out of that comfort to, ascend to a goal. And you have sort of a Jonah and the whale scenario, even though he's a fish, whatever. But he has a sort
Go
of
and prophesy to Sydney.
yeah.
What's the fish equivalent of sackcloth and ashes?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Sand and seaweed.
Fishing
I don't
net?
know. Yeah.
Seaweed to clothe yourselves in seaweed. Coat your face in sand.
Yep. So great movie. One of the classics to be sure.
Real fun stuff.
I could go on and on.
I mean, we could again
We
go
do,
back
in
to
fact,
front the entire
go
movie.
on and on.
Yeah. Just keep swimming. Just keep.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
What do we do? We swim.
Swim.
So
And so it's great. You've got I think another thing that Pixar does is creating a duo of characters to center the movie around that really contrast in fun ways.
because Marlon
because
and
you've got
Dory.
Marlon, who's like very holding on to the worries of the past, where Dory doesn't. She can't.
Literally can't remember.
So she just moves forward. It's like
She's
let
very
things roll off
happy
her
and
because
carefree.
she can't do anything else. So you've got Marlon, who teaches her to care long term about things, and then Dory, who teaches him to just kind of go with the flow a little bit and let things happen. It's like, nothing. I promised I'd never let anything happen to him. It's like, that's funny. If you never let anything happen to him, then nothing would ever happen to him.
That's the paradox of that.
And then she
sort of
keeps forgetting
attitude.
Nemo's name throughout the entire movie.
Yep.
Until
Fabio.
like, the very end, of course.
So by towards the end of the movie, like Marlon just sort of casually reminds her, like, it's Nemo, right? He's go easy on him. He's lost his son, Fabio. Bingo, Nemo. So yeah. Any other cool things we want to talk about with Finding Nemo?
We could also talk about the fact that Nemo's name is probably an allusion to the Jules
20,000
Verne novel
Leagues Under the
10,000
Sea.
Leagues Under
Or
the Sea.
10,000.
20,000.
20,000?
20,000. 20,000, sir.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah,
Some number of leagues
Good.
under the sea.
good literary
No more.
reference there.
No less. Which literally means nobody, as the translation of the name Nemo. So,
Yes. Which is itself an allusion to the pseudonym that Odysseus gave to the Cyclops in the Odyssey.
oh yeah, there's that
Oh,
too.
yeah.
We're
And
in
this is
multiple
very much
references.
an Odyssey.
Yep.
It is.
But also you
And-
got the
But
other,
Nemo isn't nobody.
No.
Well, and then Marlin refusing to let anything happen to Nemo is sort of not allowing him to grow and
Not become
explore things and
And to
become
become an individual and establish an identity.
Mm-hmm. So that's an important piece. You gotta, at some point, you gotta face some of the danger in the world.
Well, we're dipping into other things, but
Yeah, I suppose we can start talking
This
about.
is I think that still qualifies as a cool.
yeah, it's
bit.
cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like a lot of the characters' names are like marine-based
Yep.
things, where you got like Coral and Marlin
Mhm.
and Dory. They're all like referring to like nautical and aquatic things.
Yep. Gil. That's,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. There's another
Jacques.
Jacques.
Jacques Cousteau.
Jacques Cousteau. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know what that has to do with a shrimp, but that's.
But also, it
that's
sounds
there.
vaguely French, and he's kind of got.
He's a
this-
French shrimp,
this,
yeah.
I don't know.
He's got a French
Gourmet personality, being
Yeah.
the cleaner shrimp who just eats the crap off the walls, literally.
accent. Yep. That's what he does.
Because that's apparently gourmet.
Yeah.
To him,
Jacques, no cleaning.
I am ashamed.
Maybe it was like the red and white stripes or something like that.
It was.
I mean,
it was probably
either-
a combination
whatever it
of
is.
a lot of things. That's just like, you know what, this has got to be the character.
And they're a fish tank secret society that meets at the fake volcano and the
Mount.
Mount
Wanahakalugi.
Wahoo wahee
You must swim through the ring of fire.
which they just turn the bubbles up a little more.
It's so funny.
Bubbles, my bubbles. Good stuff. Great movie. Should we get into the transcendentals then?
Let's.
All right. Truth. What truth can we find in finding Nemo?
People don't flourish when you put them in a box.
Yes.
Be it fish, like that's in one way represented by the fish in the tank, but also represents where Nemo is with his helicopter parent.
Yep.
Where it's
What's the marine equivalent of a helicopter?
like one of those helicopters with the pontoons.
A submersible? I don't know.
I don't know.
Don't be a submersible parent.
Yes. Yes, very much so. But yeah.
But it's interesting that he's kind of pulled out of one tank and into another.
Yeah. Where he's very much limited by his circumstances. You know, his dad is. And at first, well, he kind of, like, that's a source of resentment for Nemo. He gets into trouble because he's trying to show his dad, I can be an individual. I can go out and do something crazy. But ends up getting, put in a fish tank because of it. But Marlin, being the dad that he is, even though he's forced to overcome his fear of the ocean, because the ocean took everything, pretty much everything he's loved.
And he was the one that wanted a seaside view in his anemone, right?
Yep.
He used to be an adventure-loving, just like living life fish, but
Yep.
Having things
Tragedy.
taken away from him and that seeing the danger of the ocean firsthand scarred him more than it scarred his son, literally.
Yep. So he there are some ways too where, like, Nemo's sort of the naive son, but he doesn't completely understand, like, his limitations, which is kind of borne out. He's got the gimpy fin, like, he can't swim very well on his own.
But also he learns to kind of work within and push past those limitations, being able to stop the filter himself the second time, and then later having the idea to save Dory, you know.
And Marlin on his own, like, he has to face the ocean, basically all the scariest things, because there's jellyfish, there's sharks, there's explosive sea mines, there's, whales and pelicans and all these things that, are deadly because the ocean is a scary place. It can do some damage, but he manages to overcome all these obstacles for love of his son.
And by surviving these obstacles, he gains a wisdom.
Yes.
He learns that by facing certain dangers and by being exposed to the scary things, he can better navigate them. Mm-hmm. He can better deal with them. Yeah. So there is a time and a place and a way to be exposed to the bad things in a way that allows is healthy and allows for safe navigation of them in the future.
Expanding your boundaries and working, and broadening your horizons, so to speak.
And sometimes it's worth it to trust people. Mm-hmm. Sometimes not trusting people gets everybody hurt.
Yep.
And so it's only when you let go and trust another person that you can trust that he is actually able to succeed and save his son.
Just keep swimming.
Indeed.
Because that's sort of Dory's strength too, is that even though she's forgetful, she's still able to keep going, because she's like, well, I just know this. Like, it doesn't matter if I can't remember, but I still make my way through just because I
just keep pushing forward.
Mm-hmm. And Marlin, through Dory, manages to see that he's just got to keep pushing forward and let go, while holding on to the things that matter most. And he manages to impress that upon Dory. He was slowly able to.
She's able to remember the things that matter most, and he's able to let go of the things that in his past.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, any other truths?
Well, those are the three main themes of the main characters, pretty much.
Fish are friends, not food. I think we can all agree on that.
It's almost Lent.
Yeah, crap.
Fish friendship ended with fish.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Lent is almost here. Got to go fast.
Yeah.
Catholic Sonic be like. Anyway.
Goodness.
Goodness gracious.
Goodness gracious me.
There's Dory, for all of her derpiness and flaw, is good.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
It is desirable in a certain way to be Dory.
She
to
is
very much live in the moment and, have a sort of forgetfulness for the things that have caused you hurt in the past.
Mm-hmm.
She even immediately forgets when she is literally hurt by the poor decision of Marlin, right? It's immediate that she's still got the scar on from the jellyfish stings, but she she just doesn't remember it.
Yep.
She's okay.
But through her, relationship with Marlon, who she cares about, gives her something to hold on to. Gives her something that he kind of gives her in spite of himself. Helps her to remember the things that are the most important. Which I mean,
and those are the relationships with the people that are closest to you.
With the fish that are closest to you.
Yes.
Yes.
The fish.
The fish.
The fish.
The fish with apparently rational souls.
Yep.
in this universe,
Anthropomorphic.
this interpretation, yes.
Fish with rational souls implies fish Jesus. And a fish fall.
I think I've discussed the weird off-brand.
Have you seen the off-brand Finding Jesus cover?
Oh my gosh, it's such a weird show. I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before, where like the whale is like fish Jesus, and anyway, it's a whole thing. And then
we should do a Pixar theory where every Pixar film has a Jesus. Like
there we go.
the
Every-
Cars.
There's
Cars
a car
films,
pope.
There's a car pope. Which
That's a
implies
classic
a car
example.
Jesus, but we're getting
There's
away
also-
from the goodness of Finding
yeah.
Nemo, so let's get back to that. before we
Marlon,
get
for
too
all
lost.
his neuroticism and overprotectiveness, ultimately he loves Nemo
Yes.
and would do anything for him, as like
and
any
does
parent
anything
would.
for him.
Yes, goes above
Just
and
in
beyond.
spite of himself.
Because he could have simply accepted yet another loss and just retreated further into himself and into his anemone, the surroundings that make him feel safe.
But
and
that's
just
all he has.
lived with
all
the
he
grief.
has is Nemo.
Yeah, but he chooses to overcome that and, save his son, basically, sacrificially. And learn to trust Nemo as well, because every parent needs to sort of be able to do that.
And Nemo, through his interactions with Gil and the other tank fish, he kind of gains a sense of confidence that even with my disabilities, and perhaps even to some degree because of my smallness and my I can there are things I can do.
Yep. And gains a bit more of an appreciation for his dad, which we talked about, but
Right, because he realizes, he is braving the dangers of the ocean for me. My dad is a good dad who's only ever wanted the best for me, and I didn't see it before because I was a rebellious kid.
yep. Which is the other thing. I mean, I guess more of a true thing, but like if you are overprotective and overbearing on kids, they will rebel, and it will ultimately do them. It'll be worse for them than if you were a little more.
He was a little
Permissive.
over-sheltered, so he became a little over-rebellious.
It's not a phase, Mom.
That kind of happens.
Yeah. Other elements of goodness we could talk about. I think that's most of it.
Yeah, that's most of it.
Beauty. Obviously, beautifully animated film.
It's a Pixar film.
Yeah.
It's like,
And this is
they
where
always
they were
go above
really,
and
I mean, because the first few they'd made were, good for the time, but this is where they were really beginning to hit their stride, where it's just like,
right. The humans are more cartoonish than uncanny. The lighting and texture effects are just so fantastic. They're slightly stylized and punched up, but there's also
Right.
a believability to the reef.
yep.
Like the colorfulness of the reef in real life is reflected in this animated feature. You know,
You got the scales on the fish, the feathers on the birds, and like all these different details and things that just make it, it's
And,
really
like,
cool.
the dust specks on the water and the way the light goes through the bubbles. It's like they were really flexing their new water lighting technology on this.
Yep. The voice acting is rather brilliant as well.
Well, they cast some really great character actors for this.
Because Willem Dafoe plays Gil. Let's see, who plays Marlon?
There's Ellen DeGeneres,
Yeah.
and she's fun to listen to. She's her delivery is funny.
Yep. She plays the character well. Who plays Marlon? Albert Brooks? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I haven't seen him. I'm not familiar with his work,
But yeah, you have Willem Dafoe in there. He's really good. And then some regulars from the Pixar world.
Wait, Jeffrey Rush is Nigel?
Evidently so.
Huh.
Um,
Didn't know that.
Eric Bana. Oh, I think he's like in the background or something. Anyway, cool stuff.
Just every voice fits the character to a T, and really well delivered, really well directed.
Mm-hmm.
Fun
Score is great.
Oh, yeah, it actually really is. There's kind of to a lot of the tracks in the soundtrack. There's a ethereal, floaty quality to it that you would get the vibe of being underwater just from listening to it.
Yeah.
So it does a really good job setting the atmosphere. There aren't a lot of like tracks that like pop out, but when you hear the music,
I mean, the
in
main
tandem with
theme
the
is
visuals-
recognizable enough.
Yeah, but it's mostly when the visuals are in tandem with the music that it's like, oh, this is cool.
Because I mean, the ocean is pretty wild and pretty cool.
And so the way the music kind of fits each scenario, it's okay. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Did like Alan Silvestri do the score or something? I don't know.
Maybe could have been that.
You were just on IMDb.
I know. I'll just pull it. Reopen tab. Any other? The writing very well written. The characters are they're fun. I'm H2O intolerant. I'm obnoxious.
It's just the part where we quote everything.
Yes.
Actually, no. This entire podcast.
Let's
has
get
been
to
us
Unity
quoting
before
things.
we devolve.
Yeah. Come on. Who wrote the score?
It's fine. I don't need to know.
Oh, yeah. I don't know who any of these people are.
Okay. So Unity. How do the constituent parts add up to the whole, or whatever?
Yeah.
What is the unifying principle, rather?
Yes.
I guess.
Nemo. I mean, it's called Finding Nemo, and honestly, it's the father's relationship to Nemo that is the center.
Because he doesn't just find Nemo; he finds everything that is his reason, like how he finds how to live through it all.
And Nemo finds Nemo.
Yeah.
And Marlin finds
And
himself.
it's interesting too because in how loss can help.
Discovery.
Yeah, but like through loss, you yet find things about yourself that you didn't know before. Because Marlin loses like the majority of his family, but is still able to love Nemo in his own way through his grief and overcome tremendous obstacles to save him. Nemo learns he's actually, as kids need to do, learns he's capable and able to, do things on his own. Dory finds relationship and something
and a
that
place
lasts.
where she can actually belong.
Yeah.
People she can belong with.
Mm-hmm. The fish tank fish eventually find freedom in the epilogue.
Kind of. They're still in the bags and they don't know what to do about that.
Yep.
Find a nice, friendly swordfish.
Yeah.
Just like the aside when we're watching the story permeate through the entire ocean, you've got these two swordfishes
That are
fencing.
dueling
It's
each
like,
other.
Oh, good form. It was wicked dark down there. He couldn't see a thing. How's it going?
Yep.
There's like a lobster in the trap they passed by.
There was, and then you just have the dolphins like telling the story, and you can hear
Just like as they dive above.
you can hear pieces of it.
No, Unity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
finding.
finding.
It's pretty self-explanatory. So, anything else we'd like to bring up? We good?
Nope.
I have about 100 quotes on standby in the back of my brain
Yeah.
for when the opportunity arises. But aside from that, no.
Yeah. Same. That's so totally rock squirt. Well, thanks for listening to the Palladium Papists. You can listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And leave us a rating to let us know what you think of the show. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Papists. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, or suggestions for future episodes, email us at palladiumpapists@gmail.com. And we will find you guys next week. Well, we won't be finding it. That's not how this podcast. Anyway.
Oh, we will
Hopefully
find.
you'll find us.
We will find you. And
We'll
we
find
will
you.
tell you about movies, books, and TVs and video games. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.